Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Claudio, your favorite realtor, aka Cloud E or non-generic Eric, because I keep it real with you. Welcome to Let's Get Real podcast interviews, where I interview interesting, fun, and successful individuals who have devoted themselves to their craft in order to share with you, the viewer, a real perspective of what people are actually doing to reach their goals and live a happy, fulfilling life in today's world. My guest today is someone who provides value to homeowners by making their dream space a reality. An entrepreneur that truly puts his clients first and has catapulted his company to incredible success as a result. Featured on HGTV's Christina by the Coast as the go-to contractor for remodel projects, please welcome this husband, father, contractor, expert designer, and founder of MTR Construction, Mike Rose. Let's get excited, Mike. Yeah. Come on, give me a clap, bro. Let's get excited. Yeah. We got one day there will be an audience here.
I know.
You know?
Just put it in there.
Exactly. We're going to have a big old sign up there that says applause, you know?
I love it, man.
Mike, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling today?
Dude, I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. It just stopped raining outside.
Yeah,
so
that's good. I'm thinking the rain's going to stop for good for a while, hopefully.
I don't know. I heard it's supposed to rain again tomorrow.
Right. Well, let's see if it clears up after that. So, Mike, as I mentioned to you earlier before we started recording, you're my fifth guest on the show.
Awesome.
Really excited to have you because you're the first person also in the real estate industry. Everybody else has kind of been music and stuff. So I'm excited to talk about your company, your business, and whatever else you like. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
All right.
Let's get started.
Cool. So first of all, I know I talked a little bit about you in the introduction.
Yeah.
But can you share with the audience a little bit about yourself, and share with them your story in a nutshell?
Yeah. So my story is a little interesting because I know everyone always thinks that I come from a background of construction or my dad was a contractor, but that's the farthest from the truth. I mean,
Okay.
In my family, there's a lot of medical people. My dad's an orthodontist, and his uncle's my uncle's a cardiologist, so his brother. And so I didn't really have anyone in this industry. It kind of fell on my lap a little bit.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I just kind of did the, serving. I worked at Blockbuster, which you guys are too young to even know.
I know. We know Blockbuster.
Okay,
we remember
right.
Blockbuster. There was one by where we grew up. Yeah.
So I did those kind of those jobs. I was a pool man. Tons of different stuff. And I was graduating high school. I needed a summer job, and one of my friends knew someone who was in the industry, and they were a framing contractor. So I went to go work with them for the summer, and I enjoyed it because I got off early and I could go surfing.
Yeah.
I was big into surfing. I just wanted to be by the beach. I wasn't even thinking about like a career at that point.
Yeah.
And so that one thing led to another where I stayed in it for a little bit, and I didn't end up going to college. So my avenue was, okay, well, I got to make money with the skill sets that I have. So I started doing that. And then ironically, I just kind of got tired of it, and I went away and ended up on trying to do like modeling and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So I got a couple gigs modeling, ended up doing an ad for Levi's.
Nice.
And then I started kind of venturing down that path, and eventually I started doing day work for different TV shows, and one of them was Young and the Restless.
Yep, heard about that.
And so I ended up doing a lot of TV work with Young and the Restless for about a year.
Okay.
And
Wait, were you an actor on the show, or you were just doing?
I eventually became. It was considered a part-time cast member, so
Okay.
I was in scenes, anything that had to revolve around, it was called the coffee house scenes.
Okay.
And so I would always get called in. Sometimes you would be behind the bar, sometimes you'd be just around the bar,
Kind of like an extra per se.
yeah, kind of extra, but I had enough time on me that I ended up becoming SAG, and then I got my SAG card. So I was like,
what's SAG?
I don't even know what the acronym stands for, but
I know Screen Actors Guild.
so Screen Actors Guild.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Gotcha.
So it changes the way you get paid and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
kind of like a license.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. Yeah, it shows like you've been doing it. You had enough time, enough hours in, or something. I don't really know. I
Right.
don't know. I was young, and so I was just going, and I was kind of partying with those people.
Yeah.
And I ended up showing up late to set one morning, like really late, because we had been out the night before, and I had like a 6 a.m. call time.
Oh.
And the 405 freeway had an accident on it, so I pulled off the side of the road and I fell asleep in my car.
Shoot.
And so by the time I woke up, I had all these missed calls.
That's gut feeling.
Yeah,
That's happened to one of us, everybody at least once, I think.
So that was the end of that thing. It basically just kind of ended, and I had to get another job again. So I went back into construction, and the rest is kind of history. I just kind of, I went from a skilled labor to a foreman to a superintendent to a project manager, and then I kind of worked my way up to bigger companies.
Gotcha.
And around the time that I'd made it kind of as high as I thought I was going to go, we had the '07, market change.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bigger companies were already forecasting that their company was going to slow down.
Yeah.
So I kind of got windfall of that. I went out, I applied for my license. I got my license. And then right around end of '07, I just decided I'm going to quit that. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it on my own.
Yeah.
And I was dating now who is my wife. And I was proposing to her, and I told her I just quit and I want to do this thing. And she goes, okay, I'll make a promise with you, or a deal with you.
You were like, marry me. I just quit my job.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, it was horrible timing on that part. Like, she reminds me to this day how that all went down. And so she said, just make me a promise. If you have to subsidize income for this company, that you'll give up. Okay. And I was like, okay. So I was no part-time job. I just had to go all in on it.
Yeah.
And so that was my primary focus. And I just worked 7 days a week. I just called up everyone I knew.
Yeah.
All family members, friends, anyone who had a house or knew someone with the house. I just called them. And I was like, hey, can I just do your kitchen or do your bathroom? Or is there any work around the house that I can do?
Right.
So I was driving up to Big Bear. I was driving to the Valley. I was driving to Oceanside, like anywhere.
From where? You're Long Beach, right?
At the time I was living in Long Beach. Yeah.
Okay.
So when it all started. And
hey, natural born hustler.
Yeah.
That's what out of all that's the title right there. Natural born hustler. And I feel you, Mike. I relate on a lot of levels and everything you talked about. I didn't go to college either.
Yeah.
I went for about 6 weeks, and at the same time I was getting my real estate license, and I was just so much more excited about real estate. I was just like, so I let that go. But you took a leap of faith in your company. You went all out.
Yeah.
And that it worked out for you.
I always say it's, I got lucky, but it's perseverance. I mean, you have to say, I'm just not going to take no for an answer.
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Right. Yeah. And then you have to have somewhat of a goal in mind of where do you want this to go? Are you happy with just kind of being by yourself? Kind of like in my situation would be like a handyman, would be the starting point. Or do you want to have employees in a company? And I didn't really know, but as I started to put the time and hours in, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this all on my own. I want to actually get some other people to help me.
Yeah. You can't do it all on your own.
You can't. I mean, you can try, but you'll burn yourself out.
How many people are in your team now?
Right now, we probably have 20 to 25
wow.
and they fluctuate, depending on how busy we are. But, and then we just have a really good team of subcontractors.
Wow, that's really good. With. Going from solo yourself, running around all over the county in 2007, 2008, right?
Yeah.
To now having, 16 years later?
Yeah.
You got 20 people on your team?
Yeah.
And killing it.
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It was crazy. I remember the first time I went from having one job to having two jobs at the same time. And I was married. I just had my first daughter. And I told my wife, I was like, this is amazing. I got two jobs. Like, I thought it was like the pinnacle moment of my life, like, this is amazing. I'm actually going to make more money than just running the one job. And I just never looked back. I was like, oh, if I can do two, maybe I can do three.
Right. Isn't it crazy how you think you have a certain bandwidth until it gets tested? And then you realize how much more you can expand it.
For sure.
I mean, right. Everybody says everybody has the same 24 hours.
That's it, yeah.
But you got guys like Mike realizing that you could figure out 3, 4. How many jobs are you doing at a time now?
Man, we've done some of our highest moments. We were doing 25.
25?
25 houses. Yeah.
That's insane.
I know. And that was before we had a lot of office staff. There was it was me, and I had this employee that was helping with our design renders and even some of our invoicing, and me with clients. Her name was Patsy.
Yeah.
And we were doing the show. And I remember it was one Christmas, we had our Christmas party, and we had a ton of outside people working. So a lot of field guys. And at the Christmas party, we had some other people come in, like even subs, and they saw our job board.
Yeah.
And it maxes out at 18. And so we had all 18 filled. And then I had to put up another whiteboard to fill in the rest. And they're like, are all these going on like right now? And I'm like, yeah, these are all going on.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. We're just running around like crazy.
Yeah. That's, it's really cool when you have that much going on. I'm at a point right now in my life where I'm realizing the transition of, I feel so much more satisfied with a hard day's worth of work than like a fun night out. You know what I mean? So it's like having all that going on, like right now, having multiple deals going on for me as well. It's like I'm barely at I mean, I've been doing real estate 7 years, but now I'm feeling like it's really taking off.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm realizing having all these deals going on at the same time. Before it'd be like, wow, I don't even know how I would do that. But now it's like, man, it's just so satisfying when everybody's happy, you figured it out, and it's still moving forward, right? And I got a series of questions that I want to ask you, Mike, but I do want to ask you nowadays, I mean, before, from driving here, driving there, doing little gigs, to now having up to 25 projects going on at a time.
Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like? Are you still out there? Are you mostly in the office making calls, managing people, or what does it look like in your position now?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and a lot of people ask me, what do I do with my time? But I'm always looking at the growth of the company.
Yeah.
So I'm always analyzing the money that's coming in, the money that's going out,
right?
And then where can we benefit in different areas? So what are the most profitable projects that we work on?
Yeah.
And trying to capitalize on those. The marketing.
Gotcha.
You know, like right now, you know, spending my time here or spending my time doing the YouTube videos,
right?
Or, you know what I mean?
The marketing is kind of fun though.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But as you know, it takes up a lot of time.
It does. More
know?
than people think, you know?
There's a lot of setup to it.
Right.
And then once you're done with it, you're analyzing the footage and trying to figure out like what was
works.
good.
Exactly. Yeah. You only use like 25% of what you record, if that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, Anthony's here, filming this and everything.
Shout out Gmoe behind the camera. I always got to give him a shout out.
Totally. And he's like, man, we got to narrow it down to like 8 or 10 seconds. I'm like, we just filmed for an hour. What are you talking about? You know? So
yeah, it's crazy trying to figure out that transition. But you know, once you get good at it, it becomes easier and easier, just like anything.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's company growth, and then we have more trucks now. You have more employees, and you have a lot of internal staffing issues that happen, and just figuring out, well, why are the trucks breaking down? How can we fix that? So for me, it's always just looking at making sure that we're not staying stagnant.
Right.
That, you know, that there's constant growth with the company.
Right.
And if I wasn't doing that and I was just complacent, like, oh, I'm just going to go golfing all the time because the company's running itself.
Yeah.
That's when you do end up having pitfalls within the company, because you're not thinking ahead of everything. You know?
And your mind must be just like, even though you're not actually there, your mind must be like, you know, there, like in, people don't even know that you're thinking about it. Right? Certain projects and stuff, you know, like, did that get taken care of? Did that person show up? And that's another thing. You got to have a team you trust, you know, because without that, I mean, if you're having doubts of, man, is that guy actually going to show up? Is that guy going to actually do what he said he was going to do? You know, if you're having, you know, sketchy people like that on your team, you can't run it the way you do. You know?
I mean, you just run it into the ground.
Right.
You know, if you try to, if you're hiring people based off of, you know, what you can afford opposed to what it should cost. Right. It usually doesn't end up really well.
That's key right there. That's what you said, that what it should cost versus what people can afford. Yeah. Right. You have to be realistic, you know?
You do. And you have to look at it and say, okay, you know, they have this much experience. How is that going to benefit us? And maybe right now,
That's my son.
I know he's out there. He's having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning, the hardest, like when I first started getting employees, I remember, talking to other people in the business, and they're like, "Man, how are you affording hiring people?" At the beginning, it's like you're taking a leap of faith.
Right.
You're investing your own money.
Yeah.
That you would normally take home as profit, and you're like, I'm not going to take the profit. I'm just going to sacrifice that portion of it. I'm going to put it back into the company with a, good staff member or something. And then later on, the return will come.
Right.
As long as you put everything out correctly. It just takes a while.
Man, you're putting me on some game right now, Mike. Gmoe told me this. He's like, man, Mike's gonna be shooting some gems out. That's huge, man. That's huge. Yeah. I hope people pick up on that, and I'm trying to pick up on it on myself right now. Like, I'm realizing when you're very busy, like I'm like, okay, an assistant would be great.
Yeah.
And that could open up my time to find another way to get business.
So. Yeah.
You're really putting me on game right now, man.
You just have to do it. I mean, if I always waited for the time to come, where I needed the person, I would always be behind.
Right.
So, like right now we need a good salesperson, someone out just to make sure that the leads never go too long.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're doing everything fine, but if I'm projected to grow as we have, then I need to be looking now. Right. Because then you have time to train them. You hope that you're going to find the right person at the beginning, but what if it doesn't happen? Right. And then it takes a while. So I'm always thinking, always looking. I'm looking for trucks. We don't even need the trucks right now, but I'm just like, oh, what would the next one cost us? Because inflation, by the time I price it out, like, what are we going to need? I'm just always thinking.
You just got to assume and anticipate that your company is going to grow. And I think those same thoughts and energy of you anticipating and assuming it also contributes to the growth actually happening, right? Because you're manifesting it. Yeah, you're manifesting it. You're going, oh, man, I'm going to need more trucks. Even though you don't need them, you're going to actually end up needing more trucks. I highly believe that. Check out I don't know if you got a chance to read this.
So I saw this when Anthony told me about your podcast. Yeah. I was like, I like the sign. And he was like, yeah, he made, he came up with that.
This is my quote because I, a firm believer in manifestation. And I don't know where, as one day it clicked, I'm like, you know what? If you truly believe it, if you're really talking about it and don't give up on once you say, man, that's not going to happen.
It won't happen.
It's not going to happen. You already made that decision.
Yeah, because even if the opportunity presents itself, you've already told yourself that you don't want it or you can't handle it. And so subconsciously it will find its way to not work out.
Exactly.
And then you'll say, see, this is exactly why I can't do it. Yeah. See, it didn't work out.
Exactly.
Instead of being positive,
What did Henry Ford say? Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yep. I love it, man. I'm going to move on to one of my questions here, Mike, all right? Because it sounds like we can talk for days, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So where did you grow up?
So I was born in Rochester, Minnesota.
Okay.
And then most of my childhood was in Southern California. So I grew up in Yorba Linda and then Villa Park.
Gotcha. And your office is based out of Signal Hill, Long Beach?
Yeah.
Right?
It's I just bought the building 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
We were in Los Alamitos for a long time.
Okay.
So for 10 some years, I worked it out of my garage. Okay. So for the first from let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like the first 5 years, I had no office space. And
kind of like this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just like this. And on the side of our house was all of my materials.
Okay.
So my wife was super happy. You know? And my neighbors, it got to a point where I had 3 trucks.
Okay.
And there were 2 of them I could pull into my driveway. And one was always sitting on the street with a trailer. Okay. And so I remember it had been like that for like a year. Yeah. And my neighbor, who was really cool, he comes out and he's like, hey, so you're looking for a spot? I was like, yeah, of course I am, but I wasn't. Right. But I was like, that was the sign. I was like, I have to move out. But I had no formal training of business. I didn't go to school. So for me, I knew I wanted to grow, but I didn't know in what formula. So it was, I didn't want to overextend myself.
Right.
I had seen what had happened in the kind of the crash. And so I didn't want to have a lot of credit card debt. I didn't want to have loans on the business. So I was like, man, if I can run this through my house,
Yeah.
I'm saving myself on
Oh,
rent.
yeah. Huge. That's a huge overhead cost.
But then what I was doing, which was a hindrance, was I wasn't pricing myself accordingly to what it should be. So for instance, I was being competitive to the client saying, oh, you can hire me. I don't have this overhead. I don't have that rent expense.
It was part of your sales pitch, huh?
Yeah. But then at the same time, it makes it really hard to grow because you really should, even if you don't have an office space, you should be charging for some kind of office space. So, going into the future, you have the option of having that office space.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
You should be, and if you're doing it yourself and you have no employees, well, what would that cost be if you did have an employee?
Yeah.
And then put that into your cost. So yeah, you're making more money, but you at the same time, at some point you are going to have to grow and you're not going to have to change your numbers drastically from that point.
What you can afford versus what it actually costs.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said earlier. I got it, man.
Yeah.
That's huge. So I did get some intel on you, Mike.
Right.
Wait, you already shared it.
Okay.
Your father is a dentist.
Yeah,
correct?
he's an orthodontist. Yeah.
In Fountain Valley.
Fountain Valley.
All
Still
right.
practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Google's great.
Yeah.
So he obviously has a passion for dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
He's an extensive resume. He's educated on it. You kind of did tell me the story of why you decided to go into being a contractor rather than following your father's footsteps. But what was your father's reaction and your family's reaction when you made that decision instead of following their path?
Well, I'm one of four.
Okay.
Of kids. So I have two older sisters, younger brother. I was the first one not to go to college.
Okay.
And that was a big deal.
I'm sure.
My dad, I'm sure, had some plans for me, maybe possibly going the medical route.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, I wasn't like a horrible student, but at the same time, I felt like I just didn't have the attention span to sit there, listen to someone tell me about something that I really don't even care about,
You get tested on it.
Yeah.
I get you.
I like the economic side of things, but they'd go into the history or the biology side or science. And I'm like, I don't know. I would kind of like drown them out a little bit.
Right.
And I would do my own stuff. And so I was, from the time I graduated high school, I'm like, I just need to take some time off and really see if this is something I want to go back to. And I just never went back.
Yeah. You know what's one topic that I found very boring, but I'm so grateful that I did do it, is like English, like writing.
Oh yeah.
And especially the writing. Like now I'm sending emails to clients and I'm realizing I'm writing a whole essay here.
Oh,
you know
man,
what I mean?
I know.
And I'm like, I'm thankful somebody taught me how to do that. You know?
And typing.
Yeah, and typing exactly,
Oh,
or just like writing out my interview questions for you. I'm like, man, this is like a school project.
Yeah. You think you're not going to use that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean,
that one came through. So your family wasn't so positive to that reaction then, huh? When you told them
no, and you have to remember, like at the same time, I was in my 20s and I was still hopping around different jobs, so I wasn't really committed to anything. And even when I decided I was going to do the company thing, I had made so many poor choices of, this job here, quit there, move there. Mm-hmm. It was like, well, are you really going to even stick with this thing?
Yeah.
And
right. You had that reputation for a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the difference is I really do enjoy construction. For me, I like anything that you can immediately see results. So, for us, if you tear something down, you do the demo, it's like, wow, it goes from old to like nothing.
Right. It was there. Now it's not.
Now
right. You can see it. Yeah.
And then immediately when it's all done, everyone's like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, how did you learn how to do that? It's like, you just did it.
Right.
Luckily, my dad, he wasn't anything with construction as far as like contractor, but he was handy.
Okay.
So when he was outside, he didn't want to pay for someone to like fix sprinklers or do some plumbing work. He would just do it. And I found that intriguing.
Right.
I didn't think I was going to make my career that kind of thing, but I enjoyed watching him do it. And then he gave me a lot of pointers and would be like, hey, just, you're down here. Why don't you try to do that yourself too? So he gave me a lot of chances to try it myself.
Gotcha. That's what I like about real estate, like versus like stocks or now crypto and stuff. It's like, it's tangible. Yeah. It's there, like you're putting your money and it's something that you're using and you could touch and feel, you know what I mean? Versus like something on the computer, so that's something I enjoy about it. But my question to you, Mike, on that topic is, what's your advice to people out there who want to follow a different path from their family and get some backlash for it? What's your advice to those kids out there?
It's hard. I think you have to follow your passion because the passion won't fade. But
Right.
if you're going after the money or the prestige of, being a doctor or being an attorney, there's a lot of people I run into now who they're on their second career. They
Yeah.
they went to school, they did the thing that everyone told them was probably the best thing for them, and then they hated it.
Yeah.
Even doctors, they went through medical school, and in medical school in their last years decided I'm not going to go do my residency.
Yeah.
I want to do something else,
Only you know what's in your heart, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like that's just the best thing. And if you have a passion and then that passion eventually turns to I want to make money with that passion, it will happen.
Right.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
more so than if you just followed the money, you're gonna struggle the whole time.
Right. That's what I like to give advice now. I mean, thankfully I'm 25. I've been in the business 7 years, and although I've got a long way to go, I am a little bit further into the path. And sometimes when a younger person might ask me, like, Eric, like, what should I do? I tell them, I'm like, what do you like? You like comics, you like cartoons, you like music, do you like whatever you like? Go find the lowest position in an office in that industry and learn about it more than anything. Something I'm really thankful for is I mean, I've been in the industry, but I've always had salary positions up until recently where I'm 100% commission based. With my mentor that I told you, shout out my boy Dean Thomas. I've been working with him for 5 years, and I've been his assistant. I got to work on multi-million-dollar homes and do open houses and big properties and watch the investment go from the beginning to the end. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, man, I got paid to go to real estate college. You know?
Right.
So I was his assistant. I was getting a salary. It was enough to be okay with me and my family. Now I graduated, right? And I'm looking at the back. I'm like, man, other kids my age, they were going to college and studying and stuff. And I'm like, I actually got paid to go to real estate college rather than coming out with debt,
For sure, yeah.
That's what I like to tell people. I'm like, go find the lowest position in the industry you want to be in, and just more than anything, learn about it, and see if you actually like it,
Yeah, I think there's a big part of coming in at the bottom and
right,
kind of working your way up, because those make the best managers. You usually have the most information to be able to talk to everyone,
right,
who's actually doing some of the work when you get to that executive position.
Yeah.
I think it's really crucial. I mean, there's a reason why Mr. Beast is the beast when it
Oh,
comes to
yeah.
YouTube. I mean, when you hear about his stories, it's because he just inundated himself with it. He was curious. He just watched like video after video.
Yeah.
He figured out what everyone wants and then just honed in on it, and he was so creative and he just loved it and was very passionate about it.
Right.
He was willing to work as many hours as it took, and that's what it takes.
Exactly.
For you to be successful, you just have to be willing to put in all of the time.
Exactly. And that's something that I was taught too, is if you just do everything, because you don't know what's going to work.
Yeah.
Just do everything. If you're curious about a podcast, you're curious about door knocking,
Yeah.
just do it all, and one of them is going to pay off. And all of it at the same time is just like compounding the manifestation that we talked about, the energy to actually make it happen. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I would 100%. But yeah, shout out Mr. Beast, man. We'll see if we get there one day. But I saw a joke one day. About housing not being affordable, buying real estate isn't affordable. They're like, somebody made a meme. They're like, millennials, we're just, the only chance you have of buying a house is hoping Mr. Beast finds you and buys you one. That's the only chance you have.
And he was. I think he was giving away houses.
He gave away like an island. It's insane,
it's
man.
crazy.
But if we'll see what happens with that. Let me see. I'll move on to my next question here. Okay, we talked about the Young and the Restless. So, did those connections or people you met in the TV industry for that Young and Restless, did that help open doors to your to the shows you were on for HGTV? Were those two connected?
No, had no connection.
No. Then how did you end up getting those roles there?
So, this is what happened. I was already kind of established as a contractor, and we were doing remodeling.
Okay.
And there was a designer who I knew just shortly for a little bit. She had been approached from House Hunters Renovation channel to do a project in Seal Beach, and she had just got divorced, and her husband was a contractor, so that was the only contractor she knew. So she approached me and she's like, hey, would you be willing to partner on this one episode.
Oh, cool.
If I got it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. That's great. Yeah, let's do that. Thinking, it's probably not going to happen. It's a long shot, even if it does. And she calls me maybe 2 weeks later and she's like, hey, they accepted me. They want me to do it.
Nice.
So you got to meet me down at this project on Main Street and we're going to review it.
Yeah.
Well, that project was only supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks long. And it ended up going 18 months.
Wow.
It ended up being a big deal. It was in the historical district of Seal Beach. It was a commercial project. The owner of the building just, I don't want to go too far into it, with him, but it just ended up being a headache.
Okay.
And so the production company reached out to me during that time. I was like, hey, can you help us finalize this thing with this guy? We need to get out of this. We've invested so much money into it.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to put a lien on the property to get the guy to finally finish the whole thing out.
Yeah.
And when we got done, the owners of the production company kind of reached out and they're like, hey, thank you so much. Here's a check for $5,000 to say thank you. And they're like, at the end of this thing, if you ever want to get back into doing construction work on TV, let us know. Okay. And I was like, no, I'm good, man. This is a bad experience.
Yeah, I'm sure.
18 months of this, dealing with this, and it was horrible. So you fast forward to maybe like 6 months later.
What year was that?
Gosh, we started that in 2016.
Okay, gotcha. So that you'd already been doing, had your company MTR for like what, 7 years?
Yeah,
something like that. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, we were doing already really well.
Yeah.
When that happened, so we finished that out. That was almost 2 years later, and then I got a call from the production company maybe 6 months after that whole ordeal happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, a new show is happening and we could use some help. Do you want to do a couple houses? And I was like, yeah, what's the show? And they're like, oh, Christine on the Coast. I'm like, oh, I haven't heard of it, but I think I saw an article about it coming out. They're like, yeah, it's the first season. There's like 8 episodes and you would be the last maybe 2. I'm
Okay.
like, okay. So that's how I got into this thing, is basically because I'd already kind of helped out the production company and they were looking for help again.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's cool. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, you never know who you're going to come across and what opportunities are going to come of that. And you got to be, that's why you got to make sure you're on it all the time, right? Because you never know what that person is going to do or what the opportunity is going to come from it. And if you were like, 50-50 and slacking here and there and stuff, one of those times when you're slacking, you might be meeting the right person and, it doesn't click like that. So that's pretty cool, man. That's a great story, And
real quick, so the designer, right? The one that kind of linked me to all this, the first job that she introduced me to was this high rise in Long Beach. And I didn't really know the area very well. So I'm driving, I'm like, what, apartment? Oh, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do this. So I drive up and I call my wife and I go, what should I do? This is a job I don't want to do. She's on the 13th floor. Yeah. I got to deal with multiple tenants. I'm not even sure if my insurance company allows me to do this.
Right.
She's like, just meet her, go over it. Let's see. Well, I ended up just going, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do it. It's a new person. I think everything's gonna go fine, and it did. And that's the same person that ended up referring me to all this stuff. So you just never know.
You never know.
If I would have said no, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you would have been all right either way, though, Mike.
Hopefully, yeah.
How has that impacted your company being on HGTV? Has that brought you more business? Has it maybe complicated things? How has that impacted you and your company?
I think both. I think it's helped us. I don't think it's hurt us. Yeah. Well, maybe it's kind of hurt us a little bit now, but it definitely helped us at the beginning. It was more of having your resume out for people to see on TV. So it just kind of was an extra security blanket for people to, we could say, hey, just go on HGTV, look us up. You can see all these houses we
people
just finished.
Love that. People love that.
It was easy. The hard part was we would do work for the show, and the numbers that they would portray on TV weren't the actual numbers that it cost.
Oh.
So we would go,
I figured. I was looking
Yeah.
at that, man. I was just like, I don't think that really costs that. Obviously lower than what it actually
yes.
costs. Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, and sometimes like significantly lower.
Yeah. Okay.
So we would get phone calls from neighbors, or people in the area, and they'd be like,
gotcha.
"Oh my gosh, I want the same. I want you to do the same thing for me. I didn't realize I could do all that for that much." And then it would be us saying,
Having to
"I'm
explain
sorry,
that.
you
Yeah.
can't. That's not the real number."
Well, thank you for being honest, Mike, because that was one of my questions here is how real is that stuff that we see on TV, on HGTV? Everybody loves to watch it
Yeah.
and glamorize it. I was suspicious of the numbers when I was watching a couple episodes, but like, have you heard of the show Selling Sunset?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I watched that one, right? And
Yeah.
whatever, the drama got a little boring after a while, but I started looking up the listings on the MLS. And I'm like, then those it wasn't legit at all,
Yeah,
And
no.
so from your perspective, how real was all that stuff going on in Christina on the Coast? How accurate?
Yeah, I don't know how deep I can go into it, but I can tell you most of the homeowners knew everything before it was talked about on camera.
Okay,
So there was no surprise to them.
so these are at least these are real people trying to create real projects on their home.
Yes.
That's real.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they would always reach out. The production company would always start with a cast call. So people would fill out a form and it would go to the production company. Production company would review those people.
Got it. That was my first. I was like, are these even real homeowners?
They are. Yeah, they're
Okay.
always real homeowners. We've had a few that I think did it for the show, and then
Okay.
after the show was done, they sold the house.
Okay.
But more, all of them though own the home if they bought it now or if they bought it years ago.
Okay. Gotcha.
In the new seasons, people after season 2, people started requesting us, which was really cool.
Oh,
So they'd be like, "Hey, is Mike or is MTR going to be doing my house?"
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really cool. And even up to this season right now, they didn't just ask, but they like requested, like, we don't
that's
want to
cool.
use, we don't want to use anyone else. We just want MTR.
And yeah, now
doing
you're
it.
the go-to.
Yeah, so that was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I just noticed your hat. So that's also your logo.
No, I wish it was. No,
Oh.
this is a Travis Matthew hat.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I was like, because I was thinking about MTR. That's just your initials, right?
It's just my initials,
All
Michael
right.
Thomas Rose. Yeah.
Right. And then I saw the M, and then I was like, I see a T, and I was
I
like,
know.
oh, I see the R too. I thought it was your hat,
I
bro. See,
wish.
that's the logo. Right.
That's the logo. And
Yeah.
then if you go to our website, we have a apparel section.
Yeah, I did see it. You
Uh,
guys gotta check out the MTR
you
Construction
have to.
merch. I saw you guys got like a cool like a gorilla one or something
Yeah.
on there. I checked it out, man. I
Yeah.
checked it out. Yeah, that's really cool. You tripped me out on the hat right now though. That's cool, man. Thank you for being honest about that.
Yeah.
At least on because I know they can really formulate it a lot on TV to
Yeah.
what's real and what's not. But I get it. It's entertainment.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we're trying to do. The YouTube channel is a little different. That
Yeah.
isn't all scripted. We're trying
Yeah.
to be more real on all the YouTube stuff so people
Cool.
can see what really happens.
Right.
And that's why a lot of our segments will be called like behind the walls.
Yeah.
Or behind the scenes, because we really want people to see.
Transparency.
Yeah. Not just what TV is willing to show you.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Gotcha. And on that note, Mike, one thing I've learned in real estate for sure, especially with investments and flips and construction, is problems are gonna come up inevitably.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There's always an unexpected problem, and in most cases, you're probably the bearer of bad news. Right.
Yeah.
So how have you? How have you learned to handle that? I mean, I'm sure it was tough at first. For me, I remember I used to get real nervous. If something comes up, I'm like, man, I got to tell these people that it's going to cost them these more thousands of dollars, or it's not going to happen the way they thought. I used to get nervous.
Yeah.
And now I've learned, I'm like, you just got to peel the Band-Aid off. You
do,
just
yeah.
got to. So how do you handle that?
I usually, I still somewhat get nervous, but at the same time, most of the time when it's bad news, we have a problem. I look at it like, at least we're finding the issue now.
Right.
Until it's not like something we're saying at the end, like, oh, by the way, we opened this up. I think your beam's cracked, but I think it's going to be fine. And then we just went ahead and just covered it up.
Yeah.
Like, I was always the person that was willing to say, I think we need to address this right now.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with just leaving it like this. And so we would always fix it. Unfortunately, everything comes down to money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we want to just find these problems, but those problems do incur extra cost.
Right.
And that's usually where the homeowner is so frustrated
Right.
or troubled with that, but yeah, it still sucks.
Yeah, because it's tough when you deal with people who have an issue and they don't bring it up,
Yeah.
and then the truth always comes out,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then it's I've just learned that I've been on that receiving end where you're like, man, you should have just told me,
Yeah.
even if it was tough, you should have just told me. Like with lenders, right? As a real estate agent, I work with lenders, and sometimes the loan gets tough, and I'm like, dude, I don't care if it's bad news. Tell me, call me, tell me. I don't care what's going on. If it's what I don't want to hear, I just want to hear it.
For sure.
So because otherwise, they'll dodge you. Then no, this is not happening. Oh my God, that's even worse.
I so now as we grow, our motto has changed to where we're the experts, right? We're supposed to be the ones that have the most information from the homeowner.
Right.
So if a homeowner is going to do their kitchen, they know everything that they can see that's been shown on Pinterest or someone's told them. So it's like, oh, I want pretty cabinets and the countertops and the tile. But for me, the important stuff is everything behind the walls.
Right. The stuff you don't see.
Yeah. The framing, the electrical, the footings, the foundation, all that stuff. So if we know it's an older home and we see that the wiring hasn't been updated and, minimum code requirements X, but when you get into it, you're going to have to fix other things. We just tell them.
Yeah.
And we say, if you use us, these are just things that we're going to find and we're going to have to fix.
Right.
So our number is going to be a little bit more of a sticker shock than someone else.
Yeah.
But you're going to have less of those headaches where someone else is going to come in, bid the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then hope that change orders show up, or they're going to know in themselves from experience.
Yeah.
Oh, we are going to have to upgrade this.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do this. The inspector is going to find this and tell
Yeah.
me. But at least it's not me telling you. It's you finding it or an inspector coming out and finding it and then telling you, so he doesn't seem like the bad guy.
Acting surprised, like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and that's just been our model, and it's been great because most of the homeowners are happy at the end. They're like, man, it was hard for us to kind of absorb the cost at the beginning, but after talking to people, I do realize what I'm getting with you guys.
Yeah.
The change orders are minimal. Like for me, I try to eliminate as many change orders as possible and then talk to the people and say, if you make changes, then yes, change orders will come up.
Right.
Or if there's something that we really just couldn't forecast at all, but all these other things that we kind of knew were going to show up, those are embedded in the cost.
Put them up front. Exactly.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that, Mike. I think that's a better way to do business in the long run for sure. So I'm going to move on to my next question here. Gmoe, are we good? Yep. All right, cool. So I did want to talk a little bit more about real estate. So there's been a recent shift in the real estate market with rates going up and still low inventory. How have these changes affected your industry, your business, contractors like yourself in general? How has it affected you guys?
I haven't felt anything just yet.
Okay.
But I do think it's coming.
Okay.
I think what's happened is, homes are still valued well. And there's a lot of people that pulled cash out, HELOCs or refinanced or purchased a home at a good interest rate. So people have money. So I think for this next year, people still have the money to fix up their home, go on vacations, do that stuff. I just don't know what's going to happen when people realize that they want to pull more cash out of their house.
Yeah.
And they're going to go from a 3% to a 6.5%. And those people will say, I'm just not going to do it.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, I think the hardships are going to come later.
Yeah. Are you anticipating that?
I think so.
Yeah. Because you were doing business in 07, 08. Right.
Yeah.
So you saw that. I mean, this is my first shift I experienced as long as I've been in the business. They've been 2-3% rates.
Yeah.
And now everybody's telling me no. Now they're normal. Now 6%. That's a little bit more actual realistic.
For sure. And I think this is going to be different. Like in 07, 08, home prices dropped.
Right.
I don't think we're going to see home prices. I mean, maybe do a little bit of a correction.
A little bit, yeah.
But if home values went from 800,000 to 1.2 million, and they go to 1.1 million, well, you still had such a big drastic jump. You still have equity in your house. You just can't access it.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen is people are like, well, I have the equity. I want to do it. So it'll be interesting. I think you'll see some bigger corporations come in and buy up some housing tracts that are already kind of happening. I think that's going to continue.
That wealth gap is just getting so bigger. You know, that gap is just, it's becoming really hard for people. Me and Jimo were just chatting about it. Like, man, how are we gonna buy some real estate soon? You know,
I don't know.
It's just
these young kids though. They're coming in. They're making money. So
yeah. As I told him, we got to figure it
smart.
out. There's a way to do it. You know, I mean, especially I think this is the most accessible time to grow a business, you know, with just media and I mean, look at what we're doing in my simple garage, you know. So I'm like, there's got a way for us to figure it out, but it's just we do feel like as you know, people in their mid-20s that it's coming from nothing. It's become so unreachable, you know. We have to just really catapult to, you know, and that's what's tough is the beginning. Yes. You know, the beginning. Once you get things rolling and you can, you know, stack and multiply, then it starts flowing. But that takeoff is what's tough, you know?
One of my mentors always told me, like, you just have to be in the market.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a bad market or good market, but being in the market then gives you a starting point. But just waiting is hard because, I mean, you look at 2009, you could buy a house in Long Beach for $350,000.
Yeah.
That same house is probably worth $950,000. So it's not like it went up like 100 or 200,000. You know, and then the down payment for that is drastically changed.
Right.
You know? So even 10%, you're putting down $100,000.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, it does make it feel like it's definitely
But once you're in there, and that's what we were talking about too. It's like, all right, you know, we end up with a mortgage payment of $5,000 a month, whatever. Like I know I'd figure it out. You know, I know once you're there, once you have it, you're going to figure it out. You're going to adjust and you're still going to make it happen. But it's just about, you know, getting there. You know, that seems tough. But once you're there, you could just multiply, which leads me on to my next question. So do you own a real estate portfolio, Mike? Do you own real estate?
Yeah.
You said you bought your building where your office is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, can you share with us your journey of how you've grown it? So like, what was your first property? How did you multiply it into others if you own others? You know,
so in 2009 is the first time I bought my first house.
Okay.
And being in the business, it was easy to remodel it. But the remodeling wasn't enough at that time. You kind of had to add space. Okay. So I doubled the footprint of the house. It was just under 1,000 square feet, and we went to about 1,900.
Cool.
And from there, it took about a year for us to get all of that done. So by the end of, I think it was 2014, we sold.
Okay.
And we bought another house.
Where was this first property?
Our first property was in Long Beach.
Long Beach. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so we bought our second home in Long Beach as well. And that one, we had moved up in price and scale with a bigger lot. And I figured this was just the time to redo it. And the redoing turned into a rebuild. Okay. So I ended up just rebuilding it.
Okay.
So it went from 1,800 and our footprint, I think, is just under 4,600 square feet.
Okay. Nice.
Gotcha. And then we refinanced after all that was done and interest rates were like crazy low. And we took some of that money and we just started doing portfolio stuff. Okay. And then business was doing better. And we bought commercial industrial property. And I think for me, that's where I'll end is all commercial industrial.
Right. Okay. So that's what you're mostly focused on now?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I like working on those. The lease agreements are much longer. The tenant usually takes care of everything, even up to the property tax.
Yeah.
And you're not responsible for if there's a clogged toilet, if the kitchen needs to be redone, the bathroom's leaking.
Versus residential.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you.
And I know there's a lot of guys killing it, crushing it with the units and they call them the doors and stuff. But for me, it's just not. It's not. You like the commercial game more.
How do you handle those? You know, I know it's the loans are much different. I mean, you got like 5 to 7 year fixed rate, right? So how does that work? You guys got to be refinancing, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, usually every 10 years you have to refinance.
Okay.
Yeah, in commercial, I think the longest they go is 20 years.
Yeah.
Amortization, but your interest rate's only locked in for 10 years.
Right.
You know, and then it goes adjustable, so they kind of force you into refinancing or paying off that mortgage.
Right.
So in commercial, you are constantly moving money around.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you have these longer leases or these triple net leases that kind of help you figure out what you want to do next.
Yeah. The SBA loans, however, those are good for, I think 25 years with a fixed rate, right?
Yeah.
So small business owners out there who want to own their real estate can utilize the SBA loan to have a fixed rate for 25 years, right?
Yeah, I think the SBA is a great way to go.
Yeah, gotcha.
You know, especially on your first property, they're going to cover 10%.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can put down another 5. So you got 15 in, and then you just finance the rest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great reel.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So thank you for sharing that. So now you're mostly focused on commercial real estate. And what is it like? Mostly like flips, keep buy and hold, or
I think in California, I don't do the flipping. I don't do the residential investment properties and stuff like that.
Buy and hold commercial.
Buy and hold. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can always, if you need to, there will become a time when, as the properties age and you've maxed out the tax benefits of it, and that's when you'll sell and you'll kind of move up in property, you know. But until that time, for me it's buy and hold.
Gotcha. Do you own most of it in Long Beach, or are you kind of everywhere? Or
mostly in the LA County area.
Yeah. What made you want to put your roots in Long Beach? You know, you said you were born somewhere else. You grew up in SoCal. I saw your website. You do a lot of your business in OC.
Yeah.
What makes you like Long Beach so much?
Ah, man, I love Long Beach. I moved to Long Beach because of my wife.
Okay.
So we dated. I was living in Newport Beach, and she was living in Newport Beach. And when we started kind of being more exclusive, she went to school here in Long Beach, and she's like, "Have you ever thought about going to Long Beach? Check it out." And man, I knew nothing about Long Beach. I just knew the stigma, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to move.
Yeah, and you got to be a little careful with the areas, but Signal Hill is good.
Signal Hill is good. East Long Beach is amazing. To me, honestly, most of Long Beach is really cool. Like the people are the best.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that mix of Orange County and LA people. It's kind of people that just don't like either one, and they kind of end up here.
Just meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think so. You know,
yeah. Something I like about Long Beach is the city. The way they operate is very efficient. You know, yeah. Like I've gone to there, try to work on clients on projects in Long Beach, and compared to some other cities, they're very efficient in the way they operate.
They are, yeah. I mean, they've cleaned up downtown a lot,
right?
You know, obviously there's areas that could use some improvement, and I mean, Newport Beach, Corona del Mar, beautiful areas of Irvine, beautiful, and we do a lot of work over there. You know, it's just for now, Long Beach is my home.
I love it.
I've had so much time here.
I gotta come visit you guys' office one day. I heard you guys got it pretty checked out.
Check out the merch.
Yeah. Check out the merch. I'd love to continue building a business relationship with you, Mike.
Sure,
you know, see how we do it. I'm getting kind of to the end here, you know, but I do have a couple segments that I want to go over. The first one is I like to go to my guest's first Instagram post, the furthest back that we can, and I want you to explain.
I don't even know what that is.
I want you to explain to me what's going on. Okay. And we're gonna do the first, maybe the second. We'll see what's up. It looks like you have like about 100 posts on here. So let me go all the way down.
On my personal, or
I'm doing it on your personal, MTR Mike. Okay. So first post.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's what it is right there.
Oh yeah.
Selfie with your family.
Yeah. You know what? That's.
Do you remember this day?
I remember that day.
Yeah.
And so we were in Mexico.
Okay.
And we're out to dinner, and I was not really savvy with Instagram. I don't even check my Facebook much or whatever.
Yeah.
But my wife, so she was like, "Hey, take a picture of all us. Do a selfie." I was like, "What's a selfie?" She's like, "Just do this." So I hold the camera up, we take the picture. She grabs my phone and she logs me in, and then she's the one who posted.
Oh, she did? Okay, cool.
So my wife is the one who did that. Actually, probably the first 20 or 30 is probably all her.
Gotcha. I was going to do the second one. You got your little guy there.
Yeah. So that one
coming back from Mexico?
That was in the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Sounds good. All right. Nothing, you know, sometimes you go back to these first Instagram posts and people are embarrassed. They're like, oh my God, you know.
Oh yeah.
But you can't go wrong with your kiddos and your family.
No, you can't. I think most of the beginning post was all family pictures.
Let me see. Yeah. You got you with your dad?
Yep. So
gotcha.
More
of your kids.
Lunch.
Give some lunch. There you go.
Yeah. Take my dad out.
And everybody be doing this is my lunch. There you go. Jim was looking at it.
Yeah, that's Matthew. It's my dad.
I love it. Gotcha. And that's how I figured out your dad was in Fountain Valley. I looked at this picture, And then I looked at the back and I was like, oh, okay. Then I Googled that. Google's crazy. I love the internet, man.
It's so crazy.
All right. So here's my next segment real quick. I have a rapid fire question segment to kind of get the audience to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Try to answer them, with short answers, whatever makes sense to you. Going out or staying in?
Staying in.
Okay. Describe your style in 1 to 3 words.
Just chill.
Just chill. I like that.
Yeah.
Go to fast food spot.
Oh my gosh.
You're between appointments. You got to eat.
It's horrible. I've been going to Cane's.
Cane's? I love Cane's.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Cane's and probably In-N-Out.
All right. There you go. Overspending or oversaving?
Me and my wife are pretty big savers.
Okay.
So,
there you go. Your current favorite artist?
Gosh. Okay. That's really hard because I love like a genre of music, but Mike Posner would probably be one of them
okay.
with you right now. Yeah.
He's a good one. I only know that one song. You think you're cooler than?
Yeah.
That's the only one I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish this phrase. The way to my heart is.
Gosh, the way to my heart is appreciation.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the end of my rapid fire. So I just my last little wrap up questions here. What big projects are you working on right now?
So we're doing a complete almost like interior remodel in Anaheim.
Okay.
And man, they're all not small.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, they're just all over the place.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think we have I don't know, maybe 10 or something right
10
now.
going on right now. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your big goals for 2023?
So I put a big goal on the company. I'd like to see it almost double from what we did a year ago. So that would be huge. And just tailoring down how the process from the time you call us to conception and completion, just making that as streamlined as possible.
Okay. Beautiful. Any shout outs or acknowledgements to anyone out there?
Well, it's I say shout out to Anthony. He's been behind the camera. I know it's been seeing him a lot, but he puts in a ton of time. And then, man, just everyone that works at the company, they just do an amazing job. There's so many people that work way more hours than they even tell me about. And without them, the company wouldn't run nearly as smooth. Shout
out to the MTR Construction team. Yeah. And my last one, where can people follow you or learn more about you, Mike?
So you can Google us, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, which is coming up. It's a little slower. Facebook, go to our website, mtrconstruction.com, and check out some of our work.
Awesome. MTR Construction, Mike Rose. Appreciate you coming out on the show, man.
Thanks,
I think we covered a lot of cool topics. I look forward to maybe doing business with you in the near future and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Let's Get Real podcast interview. My name is Eric Cloud, your favorite realtor, aka non-generic Eric, because I keep it real with you, or Cloud E. See you guys later.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.